Okay, so we'll do a new lesson today. We'll again learn how to drop databases, create them, and create tables, and then learn select statements. That's what's new. So for a couple of weeks, I'll be creating databases and tables in class, and then I'll give you the starting script so that we can concentrate on it, right? So we'll do select statements today. But before I kind of start my lesson, I'm going to give you my feedback for assignment 1 that you did. I'm marking it. You should have it in another couple of days. Maybe over the weekend I'll finish it. You'll have it back, but I'll give you my feedback of the common errors that I'm seeing in the assignments. Okay, so that way you know where you've lost marks. The feedback will come to you, but classwork, I'll always give you feedback so that you have it as a class. And I don't keep repeating the same thing for every student. Okay. So I'll go through what was expected, and if there are any questions, please ask. Right? If you have anything in your mind, so you can open up your assignments if you like, and that way at least you have a reference of where you went wrong. And if there is anything that you need to get clarified, please do. Okay. Okay. So definitely your name, date, and purpose. I said please document your script. I want a well-documented script, including doesn't mean only that. Including means it should be there, and then you have comments for your code, like I did in class. So I want your name, your date, and the purpose of the script, not ICA1 in class assignment. I'm not looking. That's not the purpose of your script. The purpose of your script is to create a database and a table therein to store information about groups. Right? That's the purpose of the script. That's what this script is doing. So I need the purpose of the script in the purpose. So a couple of you have kind of either not completed it or not given it. So definitely commenting has marks, so you will lose marks accordingly. Then come the 3 statements, 8, 9, and 10. You can, if you like, you can say drop existing database. If it exists, create a new one and use it in different lines if you want. You can give it together. Really doesn't matter because it's quite English-like, but commenting is still required. Now, I don't see the drop database command in many scripts, but when I looked at my assignment, I hadn't asked for it. Explicitly, I hadn't asked for it. But keep in mind, if I rerun the script a number of times, and sometimes there are errors, or sometimes I want to double check, I can't run it because once the database gets created, I can't do it. So in future, I will mention that please drop the database so that I can rerun the script. Or though the chances are less, it's already happened twice. I have 2 students who have named their databases the same. So if the database is already created, I can't recreate it. You know what I mean? So please see that you have statement number 8 to be on the safe side for you and for me too. And a couple of you have forgotten the if exists. Now, if exists means if that database does not exist, it will give me an error. And I don't want to see errors in your script. Okay? So the if exists says if it exists, drop it. If it doesn't exist, it's fine. Ignore it. So it just gives you a warning. So I'm not docking off marks for the drop database command at all this time because it wasn't explicitly mentioned in my script. And I don't want to have any arguments for students coming back, you never asked and so on, though it's quite obvious that you should have it. But that's okay. So you'll see that there are 3 marks for these statements, but I haven't docked off marks even if you forgot or did not write for whatever reason. I don't know how you work then on your own machines because you have to drop it if you have to keep running the script, and I'm sure you ran it more than once. But that's okay for this time. In future, I'll remember to say, please add the drop database command. Okay. So the drop database command, if I see it, it's almost complete, but a couple of you have forgotten the if exists, and then the script comes up with an error. Because I don't have that script, and if I try to drop it, I'm running your script for the first time. I don't have the script I don't have the database by that name, so I get a problem. It gives me an error. Your scripts should run without errors, right? For this first assignment, I'll ignore this drop, and if I have any problems about it, I'll kind of ignore it just for this once. So then comes the set SQL mode. Students who have problems on their own local machines, I think have put it, and some of you haven't, which is again okay, whatever works for you. But keep in mind what I've told you, that when you write a script, write it thinking that I have to write this script completely. It should be running in any environment. Doesn't matter where, whether it's running on a server, whether it's running on Anju's machine, or whether it's running on my machine. Right? So if you set your SQL mode strict all tables, then you know that you don't have to worry about the environment. And again, it's a very good practice. So follow it, please. Right? Your script could be running anywhere. Like you're not bound to only run it on your machine. So again, I have ignored it if you don't have it because I was fine. I don't have this problem on my machine, but you have to keep in mind good designing or good programming principles. So again, in future, I make a note for myself that please tell the students to write this statement. So there are no marks for this. If you have it, good. If you don't have it, you are safe because my environment has been set that way. Then comes the drop table command. I hadn't asked for it, so I haven't marked it, but people who were working on Dreamhost needed it, so they have it. So I'm not docking off marks either way. If I haven't asked for something explicitly, I haven't. So if you didn't drop your database, then this could create a problem. But that's what you have to do. Your script must always run, right? If I can't run it and I don't see any output, like what do I do with it? I don't have output. Okay. So again, 16, if you need it, sure. If you don't need it, it's up to you. I would always put it to be on the defensing programming side, and definitely people working on Dreamhost need it because they can drop databases. For me, it is redundant because when I drop my database, all my tables are dropped anyway. So I don't have to repeat it. And again, always make a point of saying if exists. So if it does not exist, then I don't have an error. Okay, so if exists, kind of make a habit of saying if exists. There's nothing that goes wrong. Now comes the drinks, and this was your main assignment kind of, because this was important, right? So I had emphasized it enough that for me, the types are very important. You had 6 fields, and then you had the create table command. This itself was 8 marks, 1 for each field, and for the create command. Okay, so most of you had the create command, of course, right? Because the script was running in almost 90% cases. Now let's discuss the fields. Most of you got the drink name right. I went varchar 20. I don't want you to count the number of, sometimes you may not even have data. Here it was just 10 records. You kind of looked through it and you got a rough idea of what it was. So don't count. Some of you have varchar 16, which was the maximum kiss on the lips was 16. I don't want you to count. I want you to make an educated guess. Either your client will tell you something, or you can always make an educated guess. Names of persons, names of colleges, names of drinks. So you can make an educated guess. So 20, and if you can, try with 15. It will give you an error. If you try with 15, it will say, oh, that's not enough. See, if I try 15, so kind of go maybe, 10 was too small. I tried with 15 first. When I do this, if I do this, I know that I'll get an error. See, I get an error. It says data too long for column drink name at row 5. So basically it is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is too long. 15 doesn't work for this. It says, so you don't have to keep counting or something. You can make an educated guess. And as I said, if you don't have data, and many a times you won't, or many times there will be so many records that you won't bother to look through the records, which is perfectly fine. But at least do something that will kind of help you to kind of make an educated guess. So if you went 20, I was okay. I don't want to see 16 because that means you exactly counted it, right? So go 20 is okay, 25 is okay, but going beyond 30, 40, 50, that's too much. You're not paying attention to the data at all, right? So you're not even saying, oh, I don't care what it is. So, and that never will be the case. You will always have an idea of what it is. So 5 characters here or there, or 10 characters here or there is okay, but 20 or 40 characters extra doesn't make sense to me at all. And this is a design principle. It's a database design principle that when you decide what fields do I need in a table, you think about what is the right type and the right size. Okay, so if I see anything that's kind of 40 or 50, I'll take off some marks, not as if like every line has a mark, right? So maybe 0.25 or maybe 0.5, something like that. And all fields were not null. So I definitely want to see not null with everything. Right? All fields were not null. It was clearly given to you. It was also clearly given to you that cost, carbs, and calories are numeric fields. So I don't want to see varchar for it. I don't want to. Like I've said they are numeric fields. So they have to be numeric. So now comes the numeric definition. Most of you got cost right because it was mentioned so many times in class, and I again mention it. Monetary values, please go with decimal or numeric. Always go with 2 places after decimal, and then you can decide the rest. So 4 is the total width. 4 is the total. So 4, and if I say 4, 2, 2 goes after, 2 go before, and that's okay for my drinks. Each drink was not, again, educated guess, $99.99 is more than enough. There was no drink with more than $10 in the table. And you like one drink, we're talking about a drink, right? We're not talking about bottles and anything. We're talking about a drink. So 4, 2 is safe. It's okay. So just a little padding over. 3, 2 is also okay. But 4, 2 is safe. Don't go beyond that. Don't go 8, 2. Don't go 7, 2. Doesn't make sense. You're talking about cost of drinks, not cost of computers. You know what I mean? So again, I'm looking at that. Then comes carbs. I don't want you to use decimal or numeric for carbs at all. Carbs are not exact values. It's just a real number. Think of it as a normal real number, right? And in the real number category, we have decimal, numeric, which are exact. We'll keep them for amounts, monetary value. And then there are float and doubles. The difference between float and double, float takes 4 bytes and double takes 8 bytes. Why would I go 8 bytes for carbs that were not even the maximum? I think was 100 and or 42 point something. Maximum was 42. And again, you're talking about carbs in a drink. Google it if you're not sure. Make educated guesses. Google maximum carbs in a drink. Kind of. You'll get an idea, right? Again, you had data, and I had here you were kind of looking at data and doing it. So 4,1 is more than enough. Though even 3,1 will do. 42.5 means I need 3 now. 4 to 5, and then 1 after decimal. Yes.
What about 3,2?
3,2 is incorrect. Why? Think about it. And maybe, what's your name? Tanvi. Yes. So that's the assignment I just marked this morning. So if you write 3,2, I'll tell you what happens. Did you run your script before you gave it to me, Tanveer? 3,1 is okay. Too close, but it's okay. It's not bad. I would go just a little padding. 4,1 is okay. So again, you can always kind of look up, right? Did you run your script? Yeah, so you have an error. If you have an error, that means something is wrong. So if you go 3,2, what are you saying? I need 2 places after decimal. You could have given 2. I don't mind it. I mean, 2 is okay. It's not bad. You don't have to say, oh, I cannot give 2. You could. But what's happening is this. That was your one of the values in one of your rows, right? So if you've given a total of 3, out of which you're giving away 2 after decimal, how many have you left before decimal? Can it accommodate 42? No. And that's why you get a runtime. That's get you an error. Right? So that's incorrect. That's wrong. Okay? So that's how you add up, kind of. How much do I need before, after? So the 2 is okay for me. I don't mind it because you don't need it. But it's okay if you want to go to. None of the carbs had more than 1 decimal place. But that's okay. But the 3 was wrong. So if 3 is wrong, that means your script will not run. So it didn't run, right? So this time I'm not saying you get a 0 because it's your first script and it's okay. But of course you will lose some marks, right? So keep that in mind. So that's what Tanveer did actually, and that's why he asked that question. So it will give you an error at that particular row where you're trying to insert a drink with 42.5 as your carbs. It won't work. It will say error because of truncation of data or something like that. It couldn't accommodate it, right? So all you had to do was change that 3,2 to either 3,1 or change it to 4,2. Either way. But even for me, 2 wasn't important. The first figure definitely is important. Cost, you cannot have more than 2 or less than 2. With carbs, you could have gone 2. That's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal. So keep that in mind, right? And again, both of these were unsigned, and I have only seen unsigned in a couple of them. Like I haven't seen it, like you thought about calories because I mentioned it, right? But nobody thought about cost and carbs. So again, to be lenient this time, I'm not docking of marks for it because the marking scheme will take you down, right? Anything, so it's kind of, is missing, is incomplete, mostly complete, partially complete. So marks are like this. If you make small mistakes, you may jump from 8 marks to 6 marks straight because you made mistakes at 2 places. You know what I mean? So this time I've been again lenient with cost and carbs, but can cost be negative ever? No. Can carbs be negative? No. So you should have gone unsigned. Right? So the first assignment, you're getting a leniency. It won't. And I've said there, anything I've seen, I've said not in future. I won't give you marks for in future. And therefore, I'm bringing it to your attention so that when you do your assignments again, you know the exact thing that I'm expecting out of you. So just because I was saying tiny unsigned for calories, everybody has it. But very few, 1 out of 10, have the unsigned for cost and carbs. Right? So think, always think. And this is important. The data are important. So again, DEC 4.2, almost everybody had it. The float had a little problems. A couple of you used DEC. I wouldn't use it at all. It's not the best fit at all. So I would go with float. And with float, you have to kind of give 2 values. Otherwise, MySQL behaves a little differently. So I saw something like this in one of the scripts. Now this says that there is no place after the decimal place. So if then your data will not save after the decimal place, right? So when you're reading the manual, read it a little carefully to see what it means. So this is allowed. This is a standard way of doing it. But what happens in this case is that it kind of is saying that I want 4 bytes. Even any number from 0 to 23, if you put here, it says I want 4 bytes for my float, which is what it is. So read it. If you see something like this, try to read it a little more clearly to see what it means, right? So if you're using something else, I don't know, but if you're using MySQL, you have to be a little careful of how MySQL is behaving. If any of you is using DreamHost, and I'm not sure what they have on DreamHost, I'm assuming it's MySQL, it may behave a little differently, and maybe you are unable to catch this error when you run your script. And if that's how it is, then I've kind of ignored it because it's not your fault. It's the script is running, the answers are right, so you didn't bother to look for it. But that's not the right way of giving. You have to say comma and say whatever. So read the manual always whenever you use a type. So I went 4,1. You could have gone 3,1. You could have gone 4,2, though there was only one place after decimal, but that's up to you. Again, because we don't know what the data will be, like we don't know. So just say educated guess, look up, Google it, and kind of make a choice. But there was one place after the decimal in my data at least. Then comes ICE. 99% of the class has gone with char 1, which is okay. That's fine. You need a single character. There is another data type, and I've seen it again, couple of assignments. So people have given it a little thought. I've seen this where they say enumerated Y and N. What is enumerated data type is where it defines enumerated constants. All languages have this data type called enum, enumerated. So what you're saying is that the values in this field called ICE are limited to Y, N, small y, small n. So now the user cannot give anything else. And that's better than saying char 1, because in char 1, I can also say A, B, C. Anything, I can say any character, 1, 2, 3, anything can go in. So if you want to restrict it, and of course, you always want to see that your data that you input is correct, because garbage in, garbage out is the rule, right? So the data has to be correct. So data integrity is very important, and that's our aim when we are trying to define our types, okay? So that we catch any kind of data errors that can happen. So again, I haven't docked off marks at all if you haven't done NM. For me, it was, I did it because I knew of it. And as I said, a couple of students have done it. And it's good that they're thinking about it. So anyway, where I saw char 1 not done, the field was okay. So I'm not looking for var char 1. Var char 1 means it says it could be either 0 or 1. You had a fixed size of 1, y or an n. It was a not null field. So you had to give it a value, right? And therefore, so char 1 is fine, I see it, but now you know of the enumerated data type. The only restriction with enumerated data type is you have to put all your data in quotes. They're all assumed to be strings, right? They're all assumed to be strings. And what they say is, I'm restricting the value of this field to these values in the round brackets, which helps, right? So now you can't give anything else but yn, small yn, small. Okay, so that kind of helps. So that is better. NM-YN is better, but character 1 is also okay. So again, if you have that, you don't lose any marks. And the cal raise was discussed many a times in class, so almost all of you have right. A tiny int will do, but the maximum value was 171. So some people have gone to small int because 171 cannot be accommodated in a tiny int. I've kind of said, okay, that's what it is, but unsigned will help you use tiny int in that range. So unsigned was not used very well. I didn't see it in cost. I didn't see it in comps. This one I saw it because I think I mentioned it so many times in class, right? So this time I've ignored unsigned, just this time, but cost cannot be negative. So always think, you get more, right? So in the same float 4.1, your range will increase. So you could go 3.1 and your range will increase. Positive, when you make any field unsigned, the signed bit is now available for data storage. So when data is stored, when numbers are stored in memory, if you remember from your math course, there is a signed bit and then here comes your magnitude. Now, of course, if it is an integer, it is stored in a different way. If it is a floating point number, it is stored in mentesa and exponent, right? But whatever it is, so there is a signed bit with both of them. So if you say my numbers are positive, your exponent can be negative, that's not a problem. But now you save this bit and this bit gets added to your mentesa and the size increases. And it makes a huge difference. Think about your tiny int. You can go to this range, minus 128 to 127 if it is signed. And you can go from 0 to 255, almost double if the range is unsigned. So floating point numbers is not that easy because the formula, because you have two parts, mantissa and exponent, and it's a different thing. So you can memorize it. But this is just to show you the logic that making it unsigned in the same size, it gives you more range. So why not? Right? And cost cannot be negative ever. Carbs cannot be negative ever. So always think about it. Right? So this was a major part of the assignment, as I said. Almost 50% of your assignment was this, or 40, I should say. Right? So that was a major part. After that, most of you had the insert statement, right? And notice I've given comments everywhere. It is a well-documented script. I have, though it is together, but there it is. Then comes ensure not null is enforced. Then comes create a table defining fields and types. This most of you didn't have it because you don't need to if you drop it. So I don't have a comment. I think I added it afterwards. And then I say insert data into drinks. And it was very clearly mentioned that please put text data in quotes and numeric data without quotes. So a couple of you missed it. If you missed it, you lose marks. That instruction was right. So MySQL won't bother. It says, oh, you're giving numeric data in quotes, that's okay. But that's not how it is, right? So it's careless, but then you can't work with them as numbers. And I said my fields are numeric in nature. So a couple, I have only seen a couple where everything is in quotes. So you will lose maybe half a mark or something, right? So your feedback will come back to you, a rubric will be given, but in-class assignments may or may not be given because I'm discussing the answer always in class. I'll always take 10-15 minutes to discuss the solution, that when you do the next one, you don't make the same mistakes again. Many of you don't even bother to read the rubric. Maybe you're too busy, and it takes quite a bit of my time to make it, but I do it because I want you to learn from mistakes. We all do, right? We have to learn from mistakes so that we don't make them. So this is not rough work. I need to see comments. I need to see good data types. I need to see right insert statements. I need to see drop statements if you think they are needed, right? Otherwise, how will you run your script over and over again? Keep in mind that it may not happen in the real world, but we have to know it just in case it happens, and it does. It's not that it happens every day, but you need to know drop statement commands and create. And I will always need it in my script. And if it doesn't make sense to you, I'll make a point of mentioning it so that you don't forget it, right? Okay. Having said that, so that's what was my expectations in assignment 1. So it was not a huge assignment. It was a very small one, but it was your first step in creating a database, a table, its types, and then populating it with data. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so that takes care of that takes care of what my expectations are, and when you get it back, hopefully I'll be able to finish it over the weekend. I don't know, but I'm marking. I already have assignments and I have a date. I don't have to give them to you next day or next week, but anyway, you will get them. So if you like, I can put this on Blackboard for reference. So it's not a tough one, but I can put it on Blackboard for your reference if you want it again. Okay, so that takes care of assignment 1. So today's job, as I said, we are again going to learn or relearn how to create a database and a table therein and put some data into it. And I'm talking about donuts today. So we put data about donuts. I'll try to choose things that we kind of see or know of. Then it's easy to think of fields and what should be their types and what should be their sizes. Like a donut price. We all know this shouldn't go, I mean, even at specialized places, maybe $10. I'm thinking $99 a donut, but that's the maximum. It won't go more than that early, right? So because we have an idea of their prices and their types and so on and their names, I'll try to choose examples which we can kind of relate to. Okay, so today's table is about donuts. So that's what we will do. So you can start creating a new script. We'll create a new script. And again, make a note for yourself that you write your comments and everything. And if you have to use the script I do in class, which is perfectly fine, I do much more. I try to write comments everywhere. I try to show you how to write line comments using hash or double dashes. If I want to show you block comments, sometimes I just say, oh, this will be a comment. Remove the untidy work before you submit your assignment, right? You can take my script and put it in. This table that creates drinks doesn't make sense to call it students table. It's not a students table, right? It's a drinks table. So give names that make sense. So sure, you can take the script. If you're too lazy to type it yourself, though typing will always make you practice. But again, it's up to you. You can take it, but then make changes, please, right? call them, give them better descriptive names, and remove any comments or anything I'm trying to show you that has no relevance to your assignment at all. Remove those comments at least. But people have been lazy. It's up to you. It's your life, right? I don't have to criticize. We all learn when we go. But if you kind of make good habits, then those habits carry over. Okay, so at the head, you can put it in block, you can put it singularly. Just because I'll always require your name, date, and purpose, you can go block commenting. So I need to see your name, the date on which it was given or done, whatever, if it's classwork or whatever, in any format that makes sense to you, as long as it makes some sense. And then the purpose of the script. Right, so the purpose of this script, as I said, usually it will be the same for a first couple, then it will keep changing as we go on. So I want to create a database and a table. It will be almost common. You could copy and paste this and change relevantly, and a table therein to store information about donuts. Right? Further, so that will be one job, which we've already done. So the emphasis is not on that today, but it will just kind of recreate it. The emphasis today is on to select data now from the table. So we are going one step ahead, right? We are going to learn how to select data from the table. And that selection could be as simple as all rows. It could be some rows, so filtering rows. It could be all columns. It could be some columns. So it's a combination. So whatever I can finish today, and then it will maybe continue into next week, and then there will be an assignment on what we are trying to do with this select statement. Okay, so every week or every 2 weeks, you will have something to do on something we've done in class. Okay, and the aim of the assignment is to test you on what I've been teaching so that I know where do you stand. And guys, I must tell you that if you're still struggling in anything, I'm seeing more in Java than in here, please come and see me. If you need help, you can't wait. It's already week 3 is finished. And I've been saying this from week 1. I know some of you are struggling, which is okay. But if you don't ask for help, if you don't come for help, then please don't blame me because it's not done, right? I'm doing my job. I'm trying my best to give whatever I can to you. I'm almost starting from scratch also in Java and trying to do it. If you have problems, look for a tutor. Look for extra help. Nobody's come to me in these 3 weeks in my office hours. Nobody. And there are many students who are still struggling. So it's up to you. Still, it's up to you. But I'm here to help you out. Okay? Not when I give you classwork. That's when you start asking me silly questions. That's not the place to ask. It's because it's an assignment and it's marks. Then you ask things that I could roll my eyes on it. But help me is you come to me in your extra time and I give you help. I get you ready for it. So in future, you're doing in-class assignments, I'm not helping at all. I'm not helping at all because that's not where you're asking for help. Help comes outside class if you need it. So please make a point to ask for help if you want, okay? That's your job and I'm ready to help. As I said, nobody has come in these 3 weeks, but I've been here. Select data from the table. You can say select, we'll learn a number of selects. Okay, we'll learn a number of selects. So what I'm going to do is just because I have it somewhere, right? And again, I'll copy and paste, but I'll make changes. Oh, I haven't saved this one. Okay, so you can save it wherever you like so that you can find it. Some in the classwork are saying, where is my file? Where did I save it? How am I supposed to know where you're saving your files, right? So you should know it. You're in semester 2. So this is summer 2017. That's strange. Where is my summer? There it is. Friday, and you can call it whatever you like, as long as you can remember them. I put the week for me for my reference. You don't have to put it. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to open a. Oops, I just have the. I can take the students' week also. I'm just copying and pasting. That's all I'm doing. Okay, just to save myself some time. That way, I'm kind of just doing some work. So I wouldn't like to call it DB students at all. You can follow whatever convention you like, as long as it is one of the 2 conventions that we've talked about. Either you go camel case or you go the underscore to separate words. Choose one of them. You can create your own conventions. If you want to work in the field, and this is coming from experience because I have an experience of almost 30 years now. When you work in the field and you're talking to people who come from the same area, then it's all conventions. Everybody knows what the other guy is talking about. So don't create your own conventions, please. Follow conventions. So choose whatever makes sense to you. If you are more comfortable with the camel case, then go camel case. And if you're more comfortable with this dashes, go dashes. You don't have to write DB or TBL. It's up to you. That's not a convention. That's just me. Yes.
Is it okay to have same name for table and the database?
The name?
Yeah.
But how will you give that? Therefore, I put a DB in front of it just to differentiate it. Right?
Otherwise, when we are using like we don't use DB, if I don't use DB, then
Think about it logically. You have a database and a table by the same name. You can check and see if it gives you an error. Logically, it's okay to me. So then it's fine. Logically, it's okay because the table is inside the database. So logically, it shouldn't create a problem. But of course, you can't have two tables with the same name, but a same name inside the same database, I don't think it should create a problem. I would keep away from it just for not to confuse yourself. Okay. So yeah, but it shouldn't. So I've called it DB donuts, and then I'll kind of and then use it. You have to have a use statement. I'll tell you how you can avoid it, but that avoiding means that you'll have to put this qualification DB donuts with every table that you use everywhere. So as long if you qualify your table, name of the database dot the name of the table in your script, then you don't have to put the use statement. But use is just easy, right? Then you don't have to qualify it at create the table, insert the table, selection. I mean, it saves you so much typing. But it's up to you. So use is not necessary as per se the use statement, but definitely you have to use the database somewhere. So either use the use statement or qualify your table everywhere. I'll tell you what qualifying is. So those are the three statements which you can kind of put in your head. They'll always be present. So drop database if exists, create it and use it. Okay. And then now comes, of course, the table. So now we'll talk about tables. Let's see what are the characteristics of a donut. What data about donuts would you like to save? Think of these fields.
Sweetness.
Sorry?
Sweetness, price.
Price, definitely. Sweetness, yes. You could maybe make a scale of sweetness. Type or flavor. Anything else? Calories, sure. You're missing something very important. Price already said. Name of the donut. Right? You have to identify your donut, and donuts usually won't have an ID. They will usually have a name. So at one place, you'll never see the donuts being named the same. You know what I mean? Like they'll have different names. Those students can have same name, but donuts at one particular place, Timmy's or whatever donut place or whatever, they won't call it the same, right? They'll always have distinct names. Though some people say, what if it's just a general application? Usually applications are not made for the world. Applications are made for an organization, right? But again, if you want to make it portable, you could go with something like an ID, and that ID could be automatically created. So every time you add a record, you can give it an auto increment ID. We'll learn how to do that. But for now, the donut name is a good enough identifying field of the record, right? So it kind of identifies every record. So you will put information about chocolate ring only once, you will put information about maple only once, and so on. You won't repeat it. And if you want to kind of enforce this rule that I should not have two records with the same donut name in my table, then we can enforce this. We have an enforcing way of saying that this field, or sometimes one field doesn't work, group of fields together works. For example, last name and first name together could be the identifying field, though the chances are 1 in 100, but people can have the same first name and last name, right? Such field or group of fields, so it could be a single field or a composite field. Such fields are called primary keys in a table. So every table, as its first general rule of normalization, every table must be in the first normal form. And the first normal form says that you choose one of the fields to be the primary key. Primary key by default is unique in every record and is not null. You can't leave it null because it's the identifying field. Okay, that's what a primary key is. So I start using it. So how do you say a field is primary key? As you say not null, you just add primary key. So in all tables, relational tables, The minimum requirement, I'm saying minimum, it's not the best, it's the minimum. Every table must be in the first normal form. So your tables must be normalized, it is called. There is first, then there is second, then there is third, there is a fourth, there is a fifth, there is a BCNF, boys called normal form, and these are all design principles. How should you design your table so that in future, when you start using the table, you have minimum selection time. That's the job, right? You have trillions of records. You don't want to sit there waiting, oh, when will my answer come? Nobody wants to wait. So what design principles have to be applied so that the tables you create in a relational database are at their best behavior? These are the rules of normalization. So that's another topic. Database designing is another topic, but I will touch upon it. I'll take a week to touch upon it and talk about it. Okay. For now, I think it makes sense logically that every table must be in the first normal form, which is the minimum, and the requirement is that every table has a field or a composite field that identifies every record of the table uniquely. So it's unique and it's not null. We can't keep it null. If it is empty, what is it identifying? Okay, so the identification is missing. So that's its requirement. Plus, the first normal form has an additional requirement, though we'll not pay attention to it right now. All my fields will be atomic in nature. Like you can't break up fields. Like we had favorite sites. Now, favorite sites could have 1 values, 2, 3, 4. So how do you decide the size? And how do I kind of say, oh, I want to look for people who like google.com or who are Google fans. Now I'll have to pick the whole field, then split it, then look for it. My search time is increasing. That's not what I want. So these design principles have been created, and the rules, these design principle rules have been created keeping in mind that the operations selection, insertion, deletion are working at their most efficient speed. That's why these design principles have been created, right? So let's create the table now. So to create the table, we'll do the same thing. You can drop the table if it exists, and you can create the table. Helps me, it saves me time from commenting, right? So you can, and it's as easy as this. You just have to kind of see what you want and just do it. So drop the table if it exists. Again, this command is more helpful to students. I don't see the students who work on DreamHost. All 3 students are missing today. So students who work on DreamHost will require that command, the drop table command, because they can't drop their databases if they want to keep rerunning their script. That's the main thing. We rerun scripts, right? We do. Not maybe in the general world, everyday scripts are not run. But wherever scripts are rerun more than once, then you have to take care of these things. So you can keep that command if you want. I just keep it so that students know about it. And your table is called, you can call it donuts again. Right, and then we'll create it. I usually go with DB and DB just because it makes more sense to me, and then I can use the same name. Then of course there is no confusion in my mind there. So now we'll kind of include fields that we talked about. I'll be a little lazy. I won't include everything, but I'll try to include, instead of sweetness, which I wanted to show a kind of an enumerated data type, I'll go customer rating. So anything that's kind of enumerated, I'll do the enumerated today officially so that you know how to use the enumerated data type. So we need a name, right? Now, many of you may have noticed that last time when you were going with name, it was going all blue. Name is a reserved word in the MySQL, right? It is a reserved word. Please avoid it. SQL doesn't complain. It doesn't. But again, my aim always is to do it right so that you don't make the mistake. Maybe not maybe. Java won't accept it. Java won't accept a reserved word to be used as an identifier. So why do it? So you can call it donut name if you like. You can call it name, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't mean that if one is called donut name, you have to go donut type and so on. It entirely depends on you. So okay, so the name of a donut. What type do I need for donut name? Varchar or varchar, whatever you would like to call it. What do you think the size should be? Good enough, right? I don't know. I don't think there's something bigger than that. But of course, 25, 30 is not bad. Don't go 100, please. And just to kind of say that this will be the primary key field, you can add You can add, and again, if you want to go caps, please go caps with all your reserved words, anything. And if you want to go small, that's entirely up to you. You can go all small. I'm just in this habit, so I'll keep it, though it's more work. Caps lock on, off, I have to do it. You don't want to do it, that's fine. But don't mix and match. Half of the script is mine, half of the script is yours, and you just don't follow conventions. Follow one convention, okay? And I'll call it a primary key. So see, I've added primary key with it. I don't have to add not null with it. MySQL doesn't require it, and Oracle doesn't require it, and DB2 doesn't require it. These three I know. But if required, you can just add not null after. But by default, a primary key is unique and not null, right? But you'll always have to, as I said, the language SQL is almost standard across all relational databases. But still, things will differ. Like this differs. This is the standard way of declaring floats, right? But in MySQL, it's a little different. This doesn't work the correct way as it is supposed to. So it is available, but you always have to see what's not. So if for what particular reason, I know it works in MySQL, if the not null is not enforced in primary key, which I doubt because primary key is a primary key, then you just add not null after it. But you don't have to. You don't have to, right? So I'll just keep it, but it's not required. It's not. It's kind of overkill, right? That's exactly what primary key means, unique and not null. Now, it may be a case, there may be, and it does happen many times, there may be a case that a table has more than one candidate for primary key. Donut name also works. I had an ID field also, that also works, right? So I say, oh, I have two, which one should I choose? Entirely up to the user, to the programmer. So you could have more than one primary key candidates. They are called candidate keys. This is also a candidate for it. This is also a candidate for it. But only one of the field or composite, whatever. So only one unit can act as a primary. You cannot have more than one primary keys in a table. The rest can be candidate. Oracle and DB2 have that option of candidate keys. And the use of these keys, I'll tell you in a minute. MySQL doesn't have that option of mentioning something as candidate, but they're called candidate keys in case you hear about candidate keys. The main use of candidate of primary keys and candidate keys is this. When it saves the table, it is in storage, right? It creates indexes. You know what indexes are? Values that help to sort the table, right? So it creates indexes on these fields. So it will create an index on donut name, and it will create an index on if another candidate key. It can create an index on another candidate key. What does that do? Search time. Anything that is sorted takes less time to search than anything that is unsorted. We all know that. There are search algorithms. There is binary search, something that's already sorted. So there is binary search which acts on sorted lists. And it is much, much quicker than sequential search. Sequential search means you say, are you it? No. Are you it? No. You kind of go one by one. Whereas binary search takes the whole list, breaks it into half and says, are you less than, should you be in the first half? Should you be in the second half? Because it's already sorted. And it kind of, at any one time in one iteration, it kind of ignores one half. So notice how the list can go from 10 to 5 to 2 in quick time. Okay, so since binary search is much quicker and it works on sorted lists, indexes or candidate keys are useful. And what does the database engine do? It creates indexes on all these fields, so that if you're searching on name, it can do it quickly. Now you can use candidate keys for searching also, for selection. And it can then say, oh, I can use this key and I can do it. That's why candidate keys are handy. But I haven't seen it in MySQL being used as I've seen it in Oracle. Okay, so really, but if you hear the term, that's all it means. Candidate key means it's another candidate for the primary key. But irrespective of which relational database you're using, there can be only one primary key. You can call it primary. Only one of them can be called primary. The rest become candidate keys. Okay, so I've made my donut name a primary key. So I'll kind of, because it looks a little silly, I'll kind of do this and put this in comments. Okay, because I know it is, but anyway. And then we said the type or the flavor, as Amanda said, right? So let's go donut type. So it could be a ring, it could be a filled donut, it could be, I don't know what else. Filled and ring is something I know. Right? And then again, the type will be a varchar. It's a character or varchar. I don't know. 15? Ring, filled. 20 I think is a little big, but yeah, 20 is not bad. But I think from what I have done a little research on TMIS, it was no more than 10 at any time. So 10, 15 is good. Like I said, there are either ring types or there are filled types. There was another one, I forget now. Crawler, right? That's what the types they told me, not told me when I kind of Googled it. So yeah, 15 is okay, 20 is okay, whatever works for you. It's not bad, don't go 100. And now, since, of course, this is not a primary key, but if you want it to be not null, add not null with it. If it doesn't matter to you, then you don't have to say not null. I'm sticking to not null. I'm saying, if I would like to know, oh, what types do you have? And then they can look up the database and say, show me the types. Right? You can leave it empty. You say, oh, I don't think it's necessary. The first one definitely is necessary. Type if you don't say not null. That's perfectly fine. And then we said the donut will have a price or a cost. The donut will have a price or a cost, whatever you would like to call it. Cost or price, whatever. Oops, it's up to you. And again, you don't have to put donut with each one of them, but I'm not lazy in the sense, I mean, I don't have to retype after this. I can always ask for help and complete it. So just for consistency. What is the type of the cost? Decimal. Definitely decimal. 2 places after decimal, maybe 2 before decimal at the maximum. You only need 1. I haven't eaten a donut more than $10. At a specialized place in Toronto, it was 9 something. But anyway, you can go dec for sure, or dec for sure, or decimal. If you can write the whole word decimal if you like. Otherwise, 3 letters are more than enough. And then, and notice it comes up, and then 4,2 is more than enough, according to me. Oops, absolutely will not work, 4,2. Right, so please use decimal or numeric for prices always, but choose the right size. The size is important. So 2 places after decimal is kind of fixed. Before, think about it. So that gives me $99.99. I can go till there, and that's more than enough. Right, I think for a price of a donut, that is more than enough. You could even go 3,2. Now, if you want, you would like to have not null with it or not. Again, I'm going not null. Remember, this is a database which is being used every day by any donor shop to pick up prices. So you go and buy, the person is not inputting the price. He's picking up or she's picking up the price from a table in their database. So if you go and say, I need this, they kind of put in a code for the donut. I'm sure they don't put in the name. There has to be a code or something, and that would become their primary key. And then it pulls up all the information about the donut. And there is where the cost is. So you shouldn't be leaving it null. Right? And then if you want, you can always give a default value. So you can say, okay, what does default do? It kind of saves data entry, right? So if most of their donuts are priced at, say, $2, you can kind of say 2 here if you like. But if you say, no, there's no sense of default, then you can leave it alone. So I'm just kind of reiterating what you've done so that they come back to you. We've talked about not null, we've talked about default. So I'll try to use as much as I can so that it keeps coming back, right? Primary key is new for you today. Default is $2. 2. Default says that if you do not provide a value, not null says you have to provide a value when you insert data. But if you do not provide a value, then automatically 2 will go into it. That's what default means, the normal word default. Okay, I'll show you when I do some insertions. And lastly, just because I wanted to do a enumerated field, I could have gone with sweetness, as Williams was mentioning, which can go on a scale. Or I went with customer rating because all of us know that customer rating kind of goes on a scale, right? Usually you will say, oh, from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Usually not more than 1 to 10. That's the maximum.
And what if you don't put a value in?
For?
It's not null.
It will put 2 automatically. That's what default does. Are you? No, that's what default does. If you don't input a value, default saves you. It will put 2 automatically. That's the use of default. Okay, that's what default does. Every record should have a donut cost, but if the user does not provide it in the insert statement, then automatically 2 will go in there. I'll show you how to do those inserts. Okay, give me a minute. We've done this default last time. I did it. I remember. Yes, thank you. Perfect. Thank you. And again, notice how I kind of indent my code in the sense it's easy to read. And I haven't seen that yet in the few assignments I've marked, which is okay. But you see, anything that's much easier to read is easier to, like you prefer it over reading something that's difficult. And everybody reads code. Every programmer will read code. You will be reading code as you read books, if you read books. So you should be writing your code in a manner that is easily readable. That's why indentation was made. That's why all the packages, IDEs have Alt Control F for formatting, because they want your format in a, they want the code in a formatted manner. So if you do these small things, it's just easy. Very quickly, I can kind of scan them and say, oh, done, done, done. But if it's like English text, I have to kind of read them. It takes me more time, but it's a good habit. So if you want to learn good habits, which I would like to, sure. Now the customer rating for donuts goes from 1 to 5, let us assume. Or sometimes the user doesn't want to give a rating. That's quite natural. The user doesn't want to give a rating. So it could be blank also, right? So now I could use a tiny int unsigned here. I could, because my value is from 1 to 5. I can do better. I can do better using the enumerated data type. So the enumerated data type lets the programmer define values, strings only, right? Again, take help. Go to the MySQL manual, take help. It will say what is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on. You have to choose one of the values in your list. That's the only values that are allowed. They must be all strings. But null is allowed. Null is allowed. Okay, so null and the values in the list are allowed. Okay, so I'm saying enumerated. So I'm saying the user may give a blank. If you don't give a blank, then you cannot leave it empty. Keep in mind, null is different from empty. Null means it is undefined, and an empty string means it is defined, but it's an empty string. So they're two different. In every language, null is different from empty. An empty string means a string exists, is just empty, like there's nothing in the string. Null means there is no existence, there is no value, there is no existence of the value at all. So giving a string variable null is different from assigning the blank to a empty string to a string variable. They're two different things. One you can compare with null, one you can compare with empty. They're two different things. They're not the same thing. Null means undefined, it does not exist. And the empty string says it does exist. The value inside it is empty. There are two different things. One has an existence in memory, and one doesn't even exist. That's the difference. Okay, so I'm saying blank. So if you want to give you want to leave it empty, not blank, empty, then you have to put it in your enumerated list. You can't use it otherwise. Then I'm going 1. Oops. All have to be strings. Keep that in mind. So you can use double or single quotes. I'm going with single just because they get highlighted. The double remains in black. So here are my enumerated data types. Right, so that's what enumerated means. Enumerated just is kind of, I'm not saying not null, but if you want to, you can. If you say not null, then null cannot be a value in that field. But if you don't say not null, then you can put a null value. So you wouldn't want to, but you can. But if the user doesn't input a value, you can initialize it with a blank, like the empty string if you want. So I don't remember what I did with the last section, but it really doesn't matter. You can decide. Here the not null is not very important to me. It's a field which most of us don't rate, right?
Did you also make the blank as default?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look up the syntax. So is default allowed with an enumerated list? I don't know, but we can always try, because that's all we can do, right? We can always try. I haven't never thought about it, which is a good one. I don't see a syntax error, but we'll only know when we start inserting data. So we can always double check. Logically, it looks okay. But then maybe the default is null for not null fields. Okay, let's try, because it's interesting to know what will happen. Logically, I don't think it should, but you never know, right? I didn't know you had to put blank as an enumerated constant when the first time I used it. I thought if I don't put anything, like it's a blank, it should work, but it didn't. I had to add it to my list of enumerated constants. So I knew it because I've used it. I haven't tried default ever, so I'm not sure about it. Okay, and that's the best part about programming. You can do something to test it, and then you will know for sure, and then you won't forget it. Okay, so my table is ready, right? So I've kind of kept with these fields because I've done a varchar, I've done a decimal. Thank you for pointing out the unsigned, and then we've done not null, and we've also talked about the primary key. Okay, something that you haven't learned before, but a primary key is simply a field. And if they were a composite, if I needed a composite, I would write primary in front of both of them. Or there's also an option of writing it at the end. You can even do this. You'll know it when I do more. You can also say primary key separately here and then mention the name of the field. You can also do this. Okay, I'll kind of stay with this. It's one field and it's not composite. But in composite, you can put it as many times as you like, but it's still one primary key. So a primary key is always unique and not null by default. It's in its meaning. It's already defined there, so you don't have to say not null unique. In some languages, in some databases, Oracle, I remember, you could use only the word unique and not null. So you said the values are unique and it can be null, but null can only occur once, because if it occurs more than once, it is not unique anymore. But null was allowed, but unique, you could only use the unique verb also, the unique signifier. Okay, I don't think you can do it in MySQL. I don't remember it. I don't think you can. I'm almost positive. Okay, let's insert data now. And here is where I'll answer your questions about defaults and maybe default of blank and the default of 2. Okay, so remember, we've learned how to insert data into table. You go insert into, and then you give the table name. Now, by default, if there is no field list, then you have to give 4 values: varchar, decimal, and enumerated in that order, and it will be put in the table in that order, right? So you have to provide 4 values if you're not mentioning a field list in exactly that order. Okay, so let me show you a few things. Again, something new from last time. So when you use this insert statement, which has no field list, then you have to give 4 values. You cannot use default then. You cannot. I mean, you're saying I will give 4 values. So you'll say, where is default useful? I'll show you the other insert statement in it, which it will become useful. But this says all 4 values. And you can start giving values. And if you want my help, since I have some data, sure. If not, then you can make up your own data. If you're good at eating donuts, I'm sure everybody is, but go ahead. So I kind of found some data so that it would be helpful when we do it. You can go with 2.5. And usually when you enter data, don't be lazy. Though you've said I need 2 places after decimal, I would even enter it like this. Though you don't have to. You could even say 2 will work, but 2.5 looks odd in cost. But you could. It will automatically save it as 2.50. You've done that in last week. And a rating of 3. Right, so I'm just going to give some values, okay? Again, as I said, you can follow me. I'm trying to give an apple only because some data I'm giving because I'll need it in my select statements. Also, there is a fritter and there is a crawler. Even if I wanted to give a default of 2, I've still given it. I haven't used the default nature because I cannot in this insert statement. This insert statement assumes you will give 4 values in that order. Even if you mix up the order, it will give you an error. I mean, 2 can go into the name of the donut, but crawler cannot go into the customer rating. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on what you're doing. You'll say, oh, it didn't occur. I didn't give it in the right order. It depends what you're putting where. The third one, I'm going with chocolate. Chocolate, and it's a ring. And again, you can put whatever you like. We can go with another. So 2 can be entered like this also. Nothing, and the 2 can be entered as 2 also. And now, if I want, I can do this. Why? Because I'll go caps just because I'm using, because I haven't said that the field is null. I haven't said that the field is null. If I had said is not null, then of course I can't put in this value. So you can, some programmers prefer to insert data every record, all fields. And whenever they don't want to insert something, they'll just go null or something. It's just writing one insert statement for everything and then using it. You know what I mean? Like not writing different. And programmers prefer to put their names also here, but that's the default. Okay, so if you want, again, if you've forgotten from last week, so you're basically saying default 4 fields in defined order. But nothing stops you from putting those 4 names yourself. Nothing stops you. You can put it if you like. And that way, you don't have to keep going back here. I mean, this was easy. There are only 4. So it's easy. But if there are 10 fields, you can't remember their sequence. So again, programmers prefer to put that list here so that they can see it as they type. And I've seen some who write 1 insert statement per record. Even that's common. So they copy and paste the insert into, and then they can keep seeing as they go. And if you're trying to insert hundreds of records, you know what I mean? So anything is okay, as long as you understand what you're doing. I go easy because I just don't have so many records. How to use the default in this kind of data, like where I've said I'll give all 4 fields. I can go caramel, and I have ring for caramel. and a price. So now, just so that you know, you can use the default word here, right here, if you like. I'll go caps again just because I'm doing caps. So the other one is definitely easy, right? So you can use the default word. The word default means use the default value. You cannot leave it empty. You cannot give 3 values. You have to give 4 values. You can't even do this. Let's try this. I don't think so, but let's try it. So let's try, what was the last one? Customer rating. Let's go 4. Let's see. I don't think it likes it. I see a red, right? So definitely syntax wise, it doesn't like it even. So why even try? If the syntax is incorrect, then of course, logically, you can't even run it. So this is how you can use the reserved word default if you're giving it in a list, like all 4. You don't have to, but that's up to you. And of course, I'll put another one just because I'm also putting data so that I can show you stuff, okay? So there is a jelly one, jelly donut, and this is a filled one. And let's take 150, and I'm just putting another null so that when we do our select statements, we have some answers, okay? What else can I put? I have a maple ring if you want to. Varchars come in quotes and numbers without quotes. Again, you can use the word default if you like, or you can give a, you can go any number you want. It really doesn't matter. And let's do enough. Now let me show you the use of default. Use of default. I'll kind of cheat here a little. You've done this. I've done this last week, but I'll repeat it for you. We have the donut name. I'm going to give the donut name. I'm going to give the donut type because they're not null. I can't work without them. We already know that. And again, I've done this last week, so I won't repeat that because it's now kind of taken. I won't give the cost. Though it's a not null field, I will not give the cost. Right? I won't just because it has a default value. So, and the last one was customer rating. You can leave customer rating alone. Let's see if it gives blank. Let's see if the blank works. But of course, blank in the list will work for sure. I mean, it's just an enumerated value, but blank in the default, I'm not so sure. So that will answer this also. So we'll know whether Thomas' question, we'll know the answer to Thomas' question. You can give whatever you like. I don't know. Apple fritter, apple chocolate, caramel jelly. Oh, I like the other one that only comes some season. What's its name? Nutella. Have you tried it? It's a nice one. It's Nutella. I don't know what they'll call it. Looks like a flower, and I don't know. It's not a ring. Which one?
Nutella donut.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's the type is Nutella donut. I mean, the type should be either filled or ring or cruller or fritter. Those are their types.
It'd just be yeast donut.
Which one?
Yeast.
Yeast. Oh, there's a type. A yeast donut is also a type. Okay, we'll go with that one then. Thank you. What did you say, Thomas? Yeah, specialty. Yeah, that could be another one. Maybe, yeah, and it only comes for some seasons, like sometimes in a year. So it's out right now if you are interested. And oh, it's 149 actually. It's not so expensive at all. And I mean, of course, expensive than the one. Usually the defaults are 1, right? Usually the donuts in Tim's are 1 by default, 99 cents. So you could even have gone instead of default 2 here, you could have gone 1 or even have gone 0.99. Both are right. It's not a big deal. I don't have any ones, so I'll put a 1. That way I can see more results. Oh, donut type. Oh, I'm showing you default. Oops. Okay, I'm showing you default. That's not 150. Anyway, there. So this will take care of the use of default in both the fields. So default, $1, I mean, whatever you've given. I changed it to 1 for whatever reason, and now I need 1.5, but that's okay. So it should go automatic. The default 1.5, but 1 will definitely work. We know that. We've tested it. And that's the use of giving a default with a not null field. But we haven't tested default with a null field. You know what I mean? Like, what does it do? Does it give it null? Or does it, I think logically it should give the default value is my thinking. But till we run it, we won't know it. And always, Again, this was not asked of you. Some of you were kind enough to do it for me, and I could see the data, but some of you didn't bother to give me the select statement. How will I know that the data got created till I see it? So again, since I didn't explicitly ask for it, can doc of marks, but logically, unless we know, like how will you know your table got created? And there it is. And let's save it and let's execute it. Uh-oh, invalid default for customer rating. So you cannot use, it's coming at the create table command. It's coming at the create table command. So to now we have the answer to Thomas' question. You cannot use default with an enumerated type. You cannot, right? It's just proved it. So if it can do it, we can, yes.
Can, but you have to define it in the statement in brackets.
Come again. So there is another syntax.
Well, you have it in the default, but you also need to list it.
Oh, list it also and default it also, both of them. So then, okay, I see the use of it. I see what you mean. So he says it has still to be given here, but I may not enter it and then it will take the default. Okay, better than not working, right? Thanks for pointing that out. So the default was giving an error and I thought logic that it's not allowed. We can give a default with an enumerated was my thinking, but Brian, right?
Yeah.
Brian says if you put it in the enumerated, and it makes sense. It has to be in the list to be the default. Kind of it makes sense, right? That means I can't give any default if it is not in the list because it says I can only use one of these. Yeah, makes sense. So I think now it will work. You know what I mean? Like now it's okay. Now logically it seems okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so yes, default can be given, but the default has to be one of this, one of your list ones. And of course, null will come where I gave null. And of course, null will also, oh, notice something. Notice Nutella yeast, guys. Oh, the default was blank. Okay. Try giving not one null. If I don't give a oh, it's the default. I have a default. I have a default. Okay, so default works with enumerated data type, but the default value must be a list, must be the list of the enumerated data types. Okay, so that works. So insertion is working, right? So data gets data, and you can always check up on your left-hand side in your left-hand side window. In your left-hand side window, DB donuts. Now, which one is it? I don't know because I created one for the other section. But there are tables here. There is a table donuts here. And we have a donut name, a type, and a cost and a rating. Yeah, I think this is the one because it's coming right in the front, the enumerated plan, where I put it. So this is showing you this because I have another DB donuts. Oh, that got erased anyway. Right? So this is what you also did last week. Primary key is new for you. Enumerated is new for you. And the rest is just kind of talking about data types again. Now let's try to do some select statements. You've seen one select statement, of course, yes. Yeah, I've already told you, which is good that you see it. I've already told you that the sequence of records, the sequence in which these occur, have nothing to do with how you input the data. So Arshpreet says though I think her sequence is like mine, the insert records are how it is, but she sees caramel and chocolate being reversed, which is a good example of proving what I'm saying. The records, though in most cases it will not be, but there is the concept is the sequence in which the records occur can be different from in which you insert them. Okay, so that's known, though it usually I haven't seen it. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Even in selections, they come in order in which I put it. And notice we are okay. I don't know anybody else who has a different order of double check. I think we.
Alphabetic order. Because I just replace the caramel CA with CY and the caramel goes down.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So it is showing you in the order of the primary key. By default, it is showing you in the order of the primary key. But not for I'm CH, no, so I'm not coming with the primary key. Mine is not working.
Replace,
No, but notice chocolate and caramel, so H is less than A.
that's right.
No, H is not less than A. A is less than H. Caramel should come first. If it is going by, I don't know. I've never seen it in a different order, which is good to see. Like, and I know that the order is not defined. It's said it is not defined. So rows may come in a different order than how you inserted them. That's there out in black and white. But I haven't usually seen it in the small examples I do. I've never bothered to check it in huge examples in the industry when I was working. I never did it. I mean, it was too much work, right? But select clause also, you will always see it in the order in which you had inserted it. But there is no ordering of rows in a table. And no, not even columns. Columns also, therefore you don't say column 1, column 2, column 3. You go by the column names. You recognize a record fields by its column names, not by its position. Okay. So I don't have an answer to. The answer is that yes, the order can be anything, right? But yes, I can't say it's going by indexing just because I don't have it. Amen. It's just how I put it. Yeah, it's just how I put it. Mine is like that, so I can't say it's going by anything else. I don't know if another run will be different. No, it's not for me at least. Okay, but yeah, but there is no ordering. There is no ordering as per se. Okay, so let's go to now the next step. 12 or 12. You know what? Before I start, maybe select is just 3 minutes to go. We've done one select statement for sure. So you can start putting your notes. This is basically display. Please keep in mind, select statements only display something that looks like a table. They don't save it anywhere. It's only for, it's like your system of println, okay? No temporary tables are created for your results. You could create it. That's another thing, that when you select something, you can put it in a table and that table becomes a permanent part of your database. But if you're not saving it anywhere, select statements are only for displaying purposes. They only display your data, and it looks like a table because it looks like a table, but it is not a table, right? So they're just displaying purposes. So this is basically saying display all columns, or you can say fields, or you can say attributes, whatever makes sense to you. All of these are interchangeable. It displays all columns and all rows. You can say rows, you can say records, you can say tuples. All three are interchangeable of the table. That's what it is. So star stands for all columns. You could have said select donut name, comma, donut type, comma, donut cost, comma, customer rating if you wanted. You could, but star stands for all fields, and they will occur in the same sequence. The fields will occur in the same sequence as you have described them, as you have defined them. So the sequence of the fields remains the same. The sequence of the order of the rows, no, there's nothing hard and fast about it. Okay, so the star stands for, so if you want, you can say display all, you can put a star here so that you know that's what star stands for. Right? And I say all rows, you'll say, like, how does it mean all rows? I haven't filtered anything. I haven't said show me only those rows which are fritters, whose type is fritter, whose type is ring. I haven't said anything. I haven't chosen those rows. I've just said star means all columns. And since there is no filtering here, no where condition here, it will give you all the records. Now the next step would be to do variations of select. You may not be interested in all the records at all the times. You may be only interested in donuts may be priced at 2. Maybe donuts of type fritter. Maybe donuts that are have apple. So you're looking for anything that has an apple, like it's apple flavor is kind of apple. Maybe it's in the name. Anything that has maple in its name. So things like that. So you don't want to see all the records. You're only interested in seeing some records based on some criteria or criterion. Then we will go and do more select statements. Okay, so take a break of 20 minutes. It's 12:15 by my watch. Please be back by 12:35, and then we'll try to do as many selects as we can today. Okay, yes.
Now see what we get. It's not too stable. That's
Now,
you got your comma. Clauses will be somewhere. Default, there is no comma before the default. It only comes when you're finished with the terminal. Sure. So why not? Okay, what are you working on? Are you Because I don't see. See, we have oh, there it is. Yeah, but that means, I mean, but that's okay. I mean, it should be able to create it, right? It says cannot drop this. No, it's just a warning, it's not an error. That's okay. There's a warning. Oh, yeah, we have an error. Database exists. I'm not sure. Okay, let's do this. I can do this. I'm not sure I can. And I should drop this. So I've done it from outside, I don't know what it is. Oh. But we already said if exists, that is the main thing, so we should be okay. Oh, I know. But that's also about information. But I mean, it should not give an error. Oh, here you were missing. This is used. And then this error, oh, okay. So they're all spelling mistakes, okay, so. Oh, I didn't notice the edge, I was concentrating on the information now. Okay, so that's why the problems are. That's why it's always good to write it on copy and paste, okay? That's why it's easy. Okay, now let's try once more. Okay, now insert is possible. Oh, that's okay. Oh, I see what it is. Notice. Donut name is a primary key, has to be and I need to given two elements. You said it's a primary key. That's what it is. So you can change it to apple filter or instead of promoter, I don't know. Right, so I don't have it. I have the I just have to wait so that it is.
The second insert, how it says donut. You're specifying that you only going to put those two in.
Primary keys have, values in primary key fields have to be unique.
No, I mean, we did everything.
We're doing a sign.
That's the only one database.
You know.
So if I want to use that one day.
Then you will say, then you will only have the use statement, then you will only have the use statement, you cannot have. And that also without the rows. Because our database is called JSON. It's not called, right? But now, yes, that's.
But now in this one, see, I had a drop table plan, so if you run your script once, the table is, you run it again, the table is already there and it will say I can do it. So you always drop the table before you go. So before line 10, say drop table if it is. If it is line, and then drop the table.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It exists, and then this table will be a drop. You're saying that this table already works on then you. Okay, but keep something in mind when I have to do this. When you can see that when I was to me, I can your device. When it comes to me, you have to put those two lines back and put a name and then because I can run the right? So you're very careful. So script doesn't and then in your database, anything like I done, right? And then you can.
There's also another way called when you the business,
So you can next
when
We don't eat.
really not breakfast.
This is breakfast for me. Yeah, this is breakfast for me. I haven't eaten.
That's the first time I've seen it. I've seen Yeah, so like, okay, rip this chunk off. So yeah, I remember he did all of that. Especially the subway meets. One of them is the worst.
Yeah.
So sad that it's no pizza or a breakfast or the really expensive salads.
Okay.
Admittedly, there is a lot. There is a lot.
So they
Normally,
still. It's cheaper to buy subs, $4.
it's just as healthy.
Good.
Yeah, I'm just checking the like.
Oh, I have a question.
I'm not sure why. Like,
On
oh,
Thursday,
yeah.
I'm moving to my house. So I'm wondering if I can come to the Tuesday jump class. That might not happen considering what I have to do on Tuesday, but if that's okay. All right. What time is the Java class?
Tuesday Java class, 11 to 2,
11 to 2?
same room,
Same room?
Mhm.
Okay.
11 to 2 on Tuesday.
Awesome, thank you.
I touched a few different languages, and I don't know the syntax half the time. It's like, oh, how do I do this in C++? And it's full of the reference. Oh, this is the structure for the class declaration. Like, just like the last assignment that we did yesterday in class, before I even started coding, I literally just created about 9 comments on like the page, and that go. Then I worried about writing the actual syntax. And like, once you understand the problem about you copy deep into it, it makes the whole thing. Because then you can just look back at the other code and go, how did I do a parse? How do I do a create object? You reference it there, just outline what you're doing. Yeah, you pseudo code it, exactly. If you write good code. It's like when you come in with other features, and all that shit from my first semester. All that shit from my something like that. Really? Comment. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Really abstract.
I'm already here for longer than.
Stay over then.
So like you're an extra semester.
Yeah, there's some. There's one.
You don't have to use the job.
No, but they are having jobs.
I've got so many.
And they're looking, it's like, they really do something. Not apply, right, because this is in here. One of the other.
I've done so many. I'd be surprised.
Guarantee a big part will be interesting.
I think we'll do 10 different ways that they did it.
When we look at your, this little. Well, it's like a black wire and it goes some gray cylinder.
Yeah.
That's
So it's easy to adjust.
you're gonna find out. But because you broke the accent, now you redid the line. So they're using the word that's for them.
Oh, Right.
So, yeah.
Right, where is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of worth it. Can't stand. Or. It isn't my.
Especially with all the construction.
No, but even when I was between the rush hour.
They told me how to leave it. I remember I went with my dad now. He drove. When we were living, it would take us 2.5 hours.
Oh, yeah, like those slides.
There's buildings that are like right down there. My dad used to work over
Those are my.
They did that for 3 years with it?
Yeah.
So day in, day out, 6 hours drive. I see it. Go up and see the people. My uncle used to live there. Was but he still teaches. Either a warrant or a warrant off. Other the Navy equivalent.
All I'm saying is that usually what I see on Fridays, like with the end of class kind of over, yeah, I gotta go.
See the one that's on page 3? One is rainwater.
I have one question.
That's okay.
Just like a funny question. Like from my side, if I just want to choose this like drop name, I can do that. Is it right?
That's how you choose fields.
Okay, and if I want to do post name and then after that, like in that way, post. I can
You can show this, right? Columns come like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can say select donut name, comma, cost.
Okay. Donald Close.
Yeah, donut cost. Cost, not cost, cost. Okay? Cost is COAST. Okay? Coast means the coast of the river. This is cost.
Cost. Yeah. My pronunciations.
Yeah, you'll have to learn, right?
Yeah.
It's better to learn it from me than
Yeah. That's good.
it says with an error. Open the down window. This one, second one. I can't see your error window. Do you have an error somewhere? The second one. Okay. It was already there. Okay. So pull it up. Output window is small. You should see a cross and then you should be able to monitor. Yeah, we saw it. Yes. So you have an error. It says unknown column donut cost, so you've called it something else. See, you've misspelled D-O-U-G-H. You're still wrong. Donut is D-O-U-G-H. Now see, that's what you have with the D-O-U-G-H. Okay, no, it was okay. Okay, remove your mouse. You can run from here. The small button. There. We'll do it, don't worry. Okay, let's get back to where we were. So I'm going to the next select statement, and this is, I'm going to show you various select statements, okay? So I'm going to filter records now. So that means I'm not going to show all the records of the table. I'm going to filter them, only choose some of them. So we'll start with the first one. I'm doing an exact match here. You can use the equal to sign for non-numeric fields and numeric fields. They're both available, right? With numbers, that is more that is available, but with alphanumeric or text fields, varchars or chars, you can use equal and also for numeric fields. And all it does is gives you an exact match, not case sensitive. It's not case sensitive. We can make it case sensitive. You just have to set your collating sequence, but otherwise it is case sensitive. So this is how you do it. You say, I'll kind of take this just because it's easy to copy and paste, and we will add a condition. Right? So exact match to look for apple fritter information. So what am I saying? Where the donut type is equal to, it's a text field, so I have to use my quotes for text field. This will only give me information about the apple fritter, right? So this is an exact match. It is not case sensitive. This is case insensitive. I'll show you how you can change your environment if you want it to be case sensitive. But it is insensitive right now. So it doesn't matter whether it's small a, I mean, case, that's what case is. Of course it is. Otherwise, it's an exact match. You can put two blanks here and say, oh, the apple fritter will still come up. It is doing an exact match with your table here, right? And if it finds something called apple fritter as you've written it to look for it, it will come up. So I should see one answer. I have an apple fritter, right? So this is called filtering of records. You're filtering records now, and the verb that you use or the statement that you use is called where. So there are more to come, but this is the second form of select. We have select where. So some people like to do it this way. You can go this way if you like. So it says select what from where. That's the sequence. Okay, that's how it comes. That's the sequence. You can write it in different lines. Some people prefer to write it like this. Whatever works for you. Whatever makes you happy. Okay, I usually go select star. I give one, and then my where conditions I'll kind of put in different. I leave it to you. Okay, run it now. So we'll do one at a time and we'll run it, and that way we know that the last one on your output list is your. So once check if you have no errors. Where are you? There you are. Oh, what did I miss? Did I spell it differently? Did I don't have any. I have an empty record. I have an empty table. It's not a table. I have no display, right? Did I misspell or something? Apple fritter. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe this is easy. That's why. Thanks, Thomas. Where the donut name is apple fritter, right? The name is apple fritter. There is no type called apple fritter. The type is only fritter. So that's, of course, that will also work, but that will give you more answers. But that's okay. Okay, so it should give you one record. So write one, test one. Kind of go that way, then we know where we are going wrong. Do I again have something? There it is, right? So you can compare any field you like, whether it's text or whether it's numeric or whether it's non-numeric. Non-numeric fields are tested using your quotes, and non-numeric fields should be tested using without quotes. So the exact match works that way. And again, as I said, it is case insensitive. If you want to make it case sensitive, you can do it two ways. You can use a set command if you like, or I'll make it case sensitive for you just to show you. Now the difference between putting a set command and a command in the command, adding it to the command is this. If I do a set, it is working for the whole script. You know what I mean? Like it acts on everything. Everywhere it will become case sensitive. If you only want to do case sensitive search for one particular query or two or whatever out of 100, then add it right here. And how do you add it is this. you say collat. What is a collating sequence? Are you aware of collating sequences? A collating sequence is just a sequence which says what comes before what. So does the letter A come before Z? Like we know, when we go A to Z, we know that A is less than, B is less than C. And this information has also to be given to the computer, right? So it also needs to know what is your collating sequence? What should I do to compare? So is number less than the alphabet? Is the letter greater than, is the smaller one greater than the upper one? So all this is collating sequence. And you can look at collating sequences if you like. You can go and look at collating sequence for ASCII. That's one character set we use. You can go and look for ABCDIC, the character set that is used on mainframes. You can look for Unicode, which is 62 bytes now instead of the ASCII. It is just an extended ASCII. So each one of them will have a collating sequence. So a number is associated, hexadecimal number is associated with each character. And of course, the hex number tells you whether small a is less than capital A or is capital A the opposite. For example, in ASCII, I know small a is 97 and capital A is 65. So capital A is less than small a. So that's what a collating sequence is. So by default, I'll tell you what the default is, but what we need now is a collating sequence of UTF underscore, I think it's underscore, or is it without the underscore, 8 and then underscore bin. So here, see how all the collating sequences come up. So you can choose whatever you like. Notice there is German, there is Hungarian, there is Persian, there is Latvian, there are so many. So it's all it is saying is which one to use. There's a Czechoslovakia one also. It is only telling you which one to use for your comparisons, right? For case sensitivity. So I'm going to go bin. This is the one I'm going to choose. And what it will do, it will make it case sensitive. So I haven't done a set. I could do a set statement. I could say set, and you'll have to find out how you write it. I think SQL underscore collat or something. You can go and do that. And for your information, the default is, so if you don't change it, the case insensitive one is UTF General CI, it is called. UTF 8 General CI, just for your information, since I had to look it up, right? That's the default. So if you don't mention, if you don't change it, that's what the default is. If you change it, you can change it to whatever you like. I'm just changing it to UTF-8 bin to make it case sensitive. Now these searches are case sensitive. What it means is, now if I look for apple fritter here, I won't find any because there is no apple fritter with a small a. That's called case sensitive. Please don't confuse it with exact match. Exact is not, there's nothing to do with case sensitivity. Exact just means one character is, each character must match. That's what exact matches, including blanks, everything should match. So let's try it now. So we have two tables. One, they're looking for the, you can change this also, and maybe you can see the difference. Both are looking for apple fritter with a small a. The first one will give you a result. The second one will not give you a result. So run it. And so to see the tables, this was your first table. There's a tab right here. They kind of come in tabs, right? This is your first table that we created after the insert. I said select all. This is your second one. It is showing apple fritter, those small a. I've used a small a. But this is showing an empty table. So sometimes an empty table is the correct answer, and sometimes an empty table could be a wrong answer. So always double check your answers. Always double check it with your data. Like for us, it is okay. We have small tables, so we can double check. So please see that in your assignments, you double check if your answers are correct. So here an empty table is perfectly a correct answer. So it runs good, it runs, but check if the answers are also correct. So you'll have to be careful, okay? And that's right. There is no apple fritter with a small a. So I made it case sensitive. That's what I did. Okay, so let's come back here. So as I said, you can do it in the query or in the select statement that you're interested in. These are also called queries, right? You're querying data. You're querying. You're asking a question. So you can add it to your query as I have done, or you can use the set verb, look up what the set verb is, and you can set the collating sequence to whatever you want. Then it will act on the whole script. All queries will use that collating sequence. It's called a collating sequence. That's why the word collat. Okay. Okay. Having said that, let's move on forward. Let's look for inexact match. Inexact matches for non-numeric fields. There is nothing for numeric. There are no inexact matches for numeric. You can't say, oh, the cost is like $2. There's nothing like that, right? You do an exact match in numbers. You can't say, oh, his marks are like 70%. Doesn't work. It's only for non-numeric data, and you use the verb like. Instead of equal, we'll use like, and we use wild card characters. You've heard of this maybe in other languages. If not, I'll kind of tell you what it is. They're present in all languages. Right? Wild card characters are those characters. There are definitely two of them in MySQL. Those are percentage and the underscore. Those are the two wildcard characters in MySQL. What it means is wherever you see a percentage in your data, it says this percentage can be replaced by 0 or more characters. Anything 0 or more characters can come in this place, whatever it is. And if I say an underscore, it says replace it by 1 character exactly. Let's see what it means. Let's try something. So I'll kind of put it here so that you can see it. And if you want to make note for yourself, you can go for 0 or more characters. I don't want to see these notes in your assignment. I'm not interested, right? This is for you. For exactly 1 character. Let me show you how it looks. It will make sense as soon as we write it. Okay, so let me look for all those donuts that have apple in their name. Right, that's what I want to look for. So I'm going to take this that we already did. And of course, if I want to make it case sensitive, I will. If not, then it's okay. And now I'll replace this with like. Donut name is like. Anything before apple, anything after apple. So basically, I'm saying it contains the word apple in it. This will become contains because anything before it, anything after it. Right? Anything means 0 or anything. So nothing before apple also, if it starts with an apple, even then it will work. So you can put your percentages wherever you want. I can go 80% LE, like anything that, so you have to think, does it start with an apple? Does it contain the apple or does it end with the apple? There will be 3 different queries. If I say it only starts with an apple, what do you think will change? Let's put it here. Right, so I say that start. Here this is start. So if it starts, I'll remove the first percentage. It should start with apple, I'm saying. So remove the first percentage, right? But it can have anything after it. If I say it ends with apple, what do you think will change? I want to find out all those donuts that end with an apple. Remove the percentage at the end. So the last 5 characters should be apple. That's how, right? So that's how you use your wildcard character. Though it can happen in between also. You can say AP and anything. So it could be apple, it could be, I don't know what other could it be, but it has app in it. Oh, maple will come up too, right? Let's try maple. So you can say, we'll say maple or apple donuts. So you can use it wherever, like however you like. You just have to know. Oops. So the trick I can use an ands and ors, but I'm not doing it right now. The trick here is, notice how they have AP, both have AP in them. Apple also has an AP and maple also has an AP. So I can go like this. I can go like they have an AP in it. Doesn't matter, anything else doesn't matter. There. So maples will also show up. Anything that has an AP will show up. So apple and maples can come like this. I could have said like and I could have used or, but we'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so we have written 4 of them, right? So that you know how many we are looking for. We've written 4 of them. Apple in its name starts with an apple, ends with an apple, and then has an AP in it. So keep in mind what we've done and then run it. And then, oops, you have an error. Check corresponds to version. Oh, because it was highlighted. Don't highlight anything before you execute your script. Okay. Okay, so let's go one by one. These are those donuts that have app in their name. So maple and apple. Notice? Apple fritter has an AP, apple has an AP, and then maple has an AP. Anything before the app, anything after the app. This is an inexact match. That's why it's called inexact. It's not exactly matching it. It says it contains it. So when you see a percentage before and you see a percentage after, you're basically talking about contains. It contains the word app. Okay, so that was this. Now before this, I said it ends with the app, ends with Apple. You will only find one answer. This is the only donut that ends with Apple. Right? I mean, it has Apple at the end, has nothing in the beginning. That's okay. Percentage stands for 0 or more characters, but it ends with an apple. This is the one that starts with an apple. Anything after it. So apple will also come up and apple fritter will also come up because it starts with the word apple. And this says anything that contains an apple. We again have the same thing because we had nothing else which has an apple in it. So use percentage as you need it, as it is asked. Okay, so contains percentage either side. Begins only at the end. Ends with it only in the beginning. Anywhere in between is it. Like whatever you're searching for. So you could be searching for patterns. You could be searching for patterns. That's what you can do. Right? That's how it works. So it's an inexact match. It's called like. Will always have a wildcard character. I mean, otherwise it doesn't make sense. You can say like Anju. It's basically saying is equal to Anju. So don't use it in a wrong way. Use it correctly. So like will always have a wildcard character in its search. That's why you are saying like. Otherwise you will go with equal. And you cannot use wildcard characters in equals. You cannot use. So keep that in mind. You cannot use wildcard characters with equal. In like, if you don't use it, it's okay, but it's kind of, it's not making any sense. You're saying like Anju, and like Anju has no sense. You're basically saying you should be saying equal to Anju. So you should know where to use equal and where to use like. Okay. Plus, the likes can only be used for non-numeric data. Right, this is like, and I'm only doing donut name. You can do donut type if you like, anything, like any field. Yes.
How do you zoom in?
How do you zoom in? You mean?
For some reason mine was small.
Use the control key and then use your mouse wheel. So wherever you want to zoom in, yeah, go here, and then use turn the control plus.
Why do we have this? Yeah, so start with. Okay, let's see. Bring your mouse over it. Or bring it over this side. It's unexpected equal. It's unexpected equal.
No, like will not be equal. Like is like. Either it's an equal or it's a like. They're not combined. Okay?
Excuse me. And this sample comes with the
Yeah. There's nothing on either side. So 0 or more characters. Percentage stands for 0 or more characters. So apple is coming up. Apple is coming up here. It will come up in the first one because this could be no characters before it, no characters after it. So apple will come up. So please remember, percentage stands for 0 or more characters. 0 means nothing. Okay. Now let's see how it is different from an underscore. Shh, guys, please. Let's see how is it different from an underscore. What can I give you an underscore? Look at the table to see what I can. Oh, I have a chocolate. You could say C percentage and chocolates and caramel will come up. Okay, doesn't matter. Let me write anything. I don't necessarily have all the. Okay, I just want to show you the underscore. So the underscore works a little different. If I use underscore, if I use an underscore, like I'll answer your question now. In Apple, what are you expecting? What are you expecting in this one? Underscore says just one character before Apple. What are you expecting? What answers are you expecting with the donut name like a character Apple? None. None. There is none. One character before Apple. Underscore stands for one character, not 0. One, just one, no more, no less. So there is nothing which is called something Apple. You know what I mean? Like nothing like that. So let's try that. So let's run it again. And your last table should be an empty table. There it is. So that's how underscore works. You need one character, not 0. You exactly need one character before the word Apple. And you can combine them. You can kind of go, I can put a percentage at the end. oops, sorry, I can put a percentage at the end. So this says one character, then apple, and then anything. Of course, again, no answers. But you can combine. There's nothing which stops. You can combine, you can do combination of anything like this. You can use as many percentages, as many underscores in one search criteria. It depends on what you are trying to do. Okay, so there is no hard and fast rule, oh, I can only use one. Any number, any combination. So of course I won't have an answer again, because what am I saying? I'm looking for something that has apple, one word, one letter before it, one character before it, one character after it. And that character could be anything. Question mark, semicolon, like anything. It's a character, one character. Number is just a character. Okay, so this won't give you any result. And you can make a note for yourself. You can say that these wildcard characters can be used in any combination and numbers. Like anything can do. So you can go underscore A, underscore P, underscore E, apple will come up. You know what I mean? Like it will come up. Like it's very silly in the sense that, but searches can be, you could need anything in these searches. So let's try this. Okay, so what am I looking for? I'm saying anything before apple. I'll remove this P and do an underscore. I'll remove this L and do an underscore. And then I'll put an percentage just for the heck of it. So notice what will happen. Before A, anything can come, and after E, anything can come. And these dashes can be replaced by any character. So both my apples will come up again. Because A, P, P, L, E, that's the only combination. Maple will not come up. Why? Because M could come here, but this dash, maple doesn't have anything between the A. That's how you use them, just to show you, right? Any combination. So only apples will come up again. So save it and run it again. And only look at your last one. So these tabs can take you back and forward. And these numbers, as long as as many times as you run them, they kind of keep increasing. 20, like they will keep increasing. So there is no way of kind of keeping and count, but it comes to the last, and then you can go back if you want to see something. Okay. And the best way to write answers to your queries is write an answer, check it, it works, then go to the next one. Otherwise, it's a hell of a time looking what went wrong in which table. Just so that you know. That's the best way of doing it, as you will do it in your exams and in your assignments. Write a query, test, works, go to the next one. That way we are okay, right? So that's how it will work. Again, only apples will come up here. Anything that starts, I mean, I could remove the first percentage and it will still work because I don't have anything before apple, but just to show you, okay? As long as it has A-P-E and anything before after it, it will work. Clear? These are called inexact matches. Two wildcard characters can only be used with like. Like must use them. If you don't use them, like was not needed. You're not writing the right query. Equal cannot use them. Inexact matches can only be done with non-numeric fields. Any field that you've defined with bar charts. Okay, let's go to the next one. So again, if you wanted to make it case sensitive, you could, but like you can add the collat if you want. Now let's start. Can we do more than one conditions? Of course. Like in any other language, I'm not restricted to a condition. Can you form compound conditions? And how do you form compound conditions? What are the operators that you're familiar with to form compound conditions? Boolean operators, and an or. You also have not, but remember, not doesn't form a compound condition. It just negates a variable's value. But those are called the three Boolean operators, and they're also called Boolean operators here. And they are the same. You have the or and the and the not. The not, as I said, and or and are Boolean operators, and not is a unary operator. They act on two and not only acts on one. So basically, compound conditions are formed using or and. Same rule, same priority, left to right. Right. So you have more than one ands, more than one ors. It will just go left to right. That's how it works. Again, you can always check the priority of Boolean operators in any language. Look up MySQL and check the priority. They'll all have priorities. And just because I need it to, I'm also going to, relational operators are also available. They're called relational operators because they give you the relationship between two operands, and they are, let's start with equal to, right? Then you have not equal to, that comes in two forms. These are the two ways you can say not equal to. Both are not equal to. So that's equal, that's not equal to. Both of them are not equal. And then the regular, greater than equal to, less than equal to.
Use or.
These are relational operators, the mathematical relational operators, right? And these are Boolean operators, or, and not. Okay, so that come under the group of Boolean, and these are under the group of relational. Or also called, no, they are called relational. And of course, then you have the arithmetic operators, the plus, minus, and so on. But I'm forming compound conditions. Okay, so let's try to form a compound condition. Any query that can use an AND. So let's look for donuts. Donuts with okay, let's change the test for the heck of it, of type ring and cost 2 or more. Or cost, you know what at least is. If it is not, at least means 2 or more for your information. At least means 2 or more. At most means that value and less. Okay. And again, in an exam or in an assignment, if you do not know what an at least or at most means, please ask. It's better to ask than to write a wrong operator, because anything that's wrong will take away marks. Okay, so what do I do? Same thing, you can select, and we'll have to change the condition. So we're saying an AND, right? So we are basically looking for types that are rings. And again, remember, equal is an exact match, not case sensitive, but exact. So don't put, I mean, it is exactly to be called ring. That's what I called it there. No blanks, nothing. And so your cost field is numeric. Please do not put numeric data in quotes. And it says at least 2. No space between greater than equal to. It is.
Would it not be donut underscore cost?
Yes, thank you. Donut underscore cost, definitely. Field name is wrong. Oops. Definitely. And of course, if you have a different name of your table or your fields, you just change it as to what you've given it. Some of you had different names, right? And that's perfectly fine. So when you're trying to work with me, you use your names if you're not using my names. And as long as you understand what you're doing. Try. So donut type has to be ring and donut cost has to be at least $2. Right, so give it a go. And there it is. Right, I have, yes.
Are you able to use the proper Boolean operators in SQL? So the double ampersand?
No.
Okay.
These are the AND or the not. That's what's available. Java has the double ANDs and the single ANDs for short and not short circuits. But this has AND or and not. The verbs are AND or and not. Okay. Okay, so that's the AND condition, right? If I wanted to do an OR, all I have to do is use the word OR. So you're looking for anything that's either a ring or is at least $2. All you do is replace it by OR. Right? As simple as that. Not will again negate it. I will do nots as we go on, and it can be done in a number of ways. But anyway, we'll come to that when we start writing it. Make sense, right? And again, you can do, it doesn't, compound conditions can have likes also. It's not that you're restricted to use an equal. You can do your likes. I mean, exact or inexact match depends upon you. And again, they're not case sensitive. So as you can use greater than equal to, you can use equal, you can use not equal. So let's try donuts. Cost is not 2, right? So I'll kind of remove this. And all you have to do is, you can use either. These are 2. You can use this or you can use the arrows. The 2 ones. Both will work. You can try both. So not 2 ones. Anything that's not, oh, that's the rating. Okay, so anything that's not 2 will come up. And that's what we have in answer, right? You can always double check, but when I see the whole table, I can kind, I mean, it only had 7 records, so it's not a tough thing, but keep in mind. And you can also use the same thing with not equal. Same query with not equal. There it is, right? So these are the two not equals operators. The operator not is usually used with a variable name to negate its value. Okay, that's where not is used. It's not used with the, it's not equal, it's the not is the different one. Now, as I said, there is a major difference between null and empty string. They're two different things. Okay, so let's try. And how is null? Now, how do you compare with null? So let's try something with customer. No, what was null? Something was null in a few records. Let's look at the first one. Customer rating was null. Okay, let's look for those donuts that do not have. So there's now I'll be always clear in my query. Am I looking for undefined or am I looking for empty? But you have to understand what undefined means. Undefined means null. And again, you can make a note for yourself here so that you don't forget. So undefined means null. And of course, the opposite, defined means not null. Okay. Now, when you're comparing with null, remember null is not text. Null is undefined. So you don't use equal to. And you say where customer rating. Why did it? Oh, there. Now it helps me after ages. Where customer rating, and please be careful, you go is null. You cannot use equal to it. It won't give you a syntax error, but it won't give you the right results. You'll have an empty table. Okay, so be careful. You have to use is and not is. You can use either, I mean, depending upon what you're doing. So you have to use is or is not. These are the two verbs that you use with null to compare with null. Keep that in mind. So I'll show you. So customer rating is null. Notice how I have 1, 2, 3. Two, sorry. I have 2 customer ratings with null in my table. So if I run it, and you can do the same, I should have 2 records, right? And I have 2 records. If by mistake you do this, and it looks syntactically, it looks fine. Logically, it won't work. You have an empty table. And you'll say, oh, it's fine, it's running, my script is running. It is running, but the answer is wrong. So again, for a query that does not have the right answer, it's a 0. Keep in mind, right? A query must run. I should see the results. So script is running is different. So don't forget this. This is a very common mistake students do. You'll always come, and also you can't compare it with this also. You can do this. This is entirely different. You're looking for the rating as the text null. Rating is like anyways not a text field, and you're saying compare it with the null text. They're 2 different things. So the reserved one null has to be used as null without quotes, and it is not null in quotes. They're 2 different things. Okay, one is text, one is the reserved one. So be careful about all these things. Just pointing out common mistakes because I've seen them. Make sense? So if I wanted the opposite, donuts that have a customer rating, even if it is blank, okay? Remember, blank is a valid customer rating. And we'll do the same. And we have to go what? All you have to do is add not to it. Like normal English is and is not. So I should have 2. 2 were gone, 2 were with null, all the rest were with not null. Right? There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 2, 5 and 2, 7. Yeah, we had 7 records in all. So I was getting 2 in the first answer. Now I'm getting 5 in the. And notice the blank one has also come up. Notice the blank one has also come up, which it will. So it is defined. Right? So null is undefined and this one is defined. If you exactly wanted to check with equal, like only. So there is a difference that have a customer rating, and then I'll say have an empty. So keep in mind there is a difference between okay. And not only in SQL, this holds in all languages. So here you will now compare it like this. You will say equal and as if you were comparing a string. Right? That's how you will check for blank fields. So undefined is different from being defined, is different from the empty string. So empty string is defined, but here I'm only looking for the empty string. So that's how I'll use it. So if I use it like this and I run it again, the last one should show me one record. So 2, 5, and 1 is what should come up. There it is. That's the one with the empty rating. So the empty rating was also coming in not null, which is fine because it's a defined one, right? But if you specifically want to look for the blank, that's how you will do it. Oh, that just reminds me though, you don't have to do it. Just because I gave an enumerated data type and I try to, I'm so sorry, it just occurred to me. If I try to give something like 13 in my customer rating and run it, you don't bother to, I'll get an error. That's the use of enumerated data type. You cannot give a value outside that constants. And that's a better definition than making it an unsigned int. Okay, that's why. Okay, so I'll remove that. So you keep that in mind for enumerated. Okay, okay, so that is null and not null, and that is comparing with the empty. Okay, now let's look at more relational operators because okay, so donuts with cost between 2 and 3 included. I'm saying anything that is $2 till $3, show me. So all donuts that have two whatever till 3, anything. So I'm saying a between. Now, like if you know from your other languages, this is one way of writing it. I could say where cost is greater than equal to 2, right? And it is less than or equal to 3. You'll have to repeat the field name again. Some languages want it, some don't, but MySQL wants it. So Java wants it and C# doesn't need it, for your information, just so that you, whenever. I mean, so both are possible. Generally, human beings will not repeat it. They'll say where donut cost is greater than 2 and less than 3. That's how we say it, right? But you need to repeat the field name. So I've said a greater than equal and a less than equal. So it's between 2 and 3, including. I've said included. So keep in mind, do you need equality? Do you not need equality? It will depend upon the question. So anything that's between 2 and 3. And I should have, leaving the defaults of 1. There were some 1. Everything between 2 and 3. There is no 3, but anyway, anything between 2 and 3 have been listed. Now, the same thing in an easier way can be written like this. You can use the verb between and makes more sense. It seems more human-like, right? And between, but you have to be careful, between will include both limits. So you can't use between where you don't want to include them. Then you can, then you'll have to go with your relational operators. But if you want to include both the limits, then you can go between. So use between. But keep in mind, includes the limits. It's there for you to use. It's easier to use, but it automatically also includes both limits. Okay, makes sense? I should have the same answer. It's just easier to write and more English-like. So try again. There, right? We had same, and you can double check. Go back 1, same answer. Go back, go forward, same answer. That's another way to check whether the same query is working with 2 things. So this will kind of become complicated. Notice I'm at table donuts 161 because I've run my query so many times. Or the other option is, if it works, sometimes it doesn't on mine. If you don't want to do it, you can always select one query like this, and you can use this one, the same one. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but if you've run it once, your database is in use, right? Then it will. The first time it may not. So the first time run the whole script, or the other option if you want to make it run is this way. You can select your database from here, whatever you're working on. I can't find mine. Or whatever, right? Whatever you're working on, you can run from here. These are all databases that I'm marking assignments, so I can't find my own here now. And then after you select it on the left hand side, then take your query and run it. Okay, that will also work. So it should be in use is the main thing. So select it from the left hand side and do it. You can do it this way also if you like. So that way you only see one table at a time, which is sometimes better because it becomes overwhelming to see so many tables together. So either write one by one. I just prefer going one step at a time. You can decide whatever you want. Okay, yeah, but if you have a problem, it's not running, go on the left hand side and select your database. The other option, you see there is another run sign here. It says execute the statement under the keyboard cursor. So you can put a cursor here, right? And then it will run the rest of the script. That's what it does. You can even do this. Okay. Okay, so that was between. So I think you can always do equal, not equal, less than equal, and so on. So all relational operators done. What else were we saying? Oh, I wanted to show you the use of the Boolean operator not. Donuts. So I mean, these are just simple queries, okay? They're just simple. We'll do complex ones too. There are inbuilt functions also that are available, count, max, min, and so on. So we'll do that, but I'm just doing the simple ones now. So I could have done it there. You know what? I'm so sorry. I could have done it there. I don't want to create it again. Remember where we did not equal to ring? Can you please come back there? Did we do a not equal to ring sum? Oh no, I did a not equal to 2. Okay. That will work there too. But anyway, okay. Donuts. Not of type ring. And whatever makes sense to you, you can do it. I'll show you various ways of doing it. What time are we? Okay, we have time. That's okay. I'll be able to finish off the lesson. Okay, so where donut type. Now you have options. You've already seen the not equal to and equal to, right? You can also do this. You can say, okay, let me write all three. That's one. I could have done it with 2 also. I just realized. And that's the third one. Okay, so there are 3 ways of doing it. That's the not equal. That's the not equal. And then here and here, using the not, how would I say it? I want to say where donut type is not equal to ring, but I can do this. I don't think so. I'm almost sure. I'll try it, but I don't think so. I don't think this works. Anyway, let's try. I have to think of the not with the other one. Not donut type is equal to ring. See, I have an error. You can't use not with this. Even this will not help, so don't worry about it. So when you're using the not operator, not donut type is equal to ring is how you will have to use it. Little different, but that's how you think about it, right? So you don't say donut type not. You can't use the not equal to operators are either the angular ones or the exclamation and equal. You can say it this way also, and you will find it sometimes I give it in queries. I want to see the not operator. And again, keep in mind, I may be asking the same query to be shown in 3 different ways because I want to see whether you can do it in more than one way. So this is how you are saying the donut type is not equal to ring. So you don't say not equal, you go not donut type is equal to ring. Okay, so now anything that's not ring is what we want. Okay, so let's try. And of course, it could have been done with numbers. And the last 3 answers should be the same. So those are not rings. Fritter, cruller, filled, and yeast. I have 4 of them. Go back 1. Go back 1 more. And 1 more. And we are done. So there are 3 answers, right? So we should definitely have the same answers. Fritter, cruller, filled, and yeast. And yeast here. So just go through your tabs at the bottom. The last 3 tabs on your bottom should have the same answer. So that's how you use not. Some languages will allow you to go not equal to. Like you can put that together. You can say not equal. I think C# or Visual Basic. I can't remember which one. But here you have to just put not before the field name because you're saying this field's value has to be negated. You understand the use of not? It says this field value has to be negated. So find it and then negate it means check it kind of a case. Okay, so that's the not. Of course, something we haven't done. What if I'm not interested in all the columns? So we can only select some columns or whatever columns, right? So I'll kind of show you a few variations here. So let's say select name and type, or maybe name and cost. So now I have restricted. I've said I don't want to select all columns. So I'm just saying select name and cost. I'm not giving any filtering condition. You can combine the two, but I'm not doing it right now. So one by one. We'll say select. You had the donut name. Oh, that's what happens when you forget your caps lock key. Okay. And again, the sequence is not important. I'm trying to give the same sequence as above, but I'll show you that it can be done. It can be changed. That's why you decide what you want in terms of column names. And the from. When my list becomes longer, I don't need this. I don't use the star, and when it becomes longer, then I put my from in the other line because it makes it neater. Okay. The star is small, so it doesn't matter. But as soon as you start going list names, it will become longer. Okay, there. So now only 2 fields will come up. Okay, till now we've been doing star all the time, but that doesn't work all the time. Maybe it has 20 fields. I'm only interested in 2 fields or 3 or 4 or whatever. You can do this. And seems like, no, it just is taking time. And there it is. Notice how it comes up. By default, the 2 fields are called whatever they're called in the table, and they come up. And nobody says you have to follow the same sequence. You can change the sequence. You can put them in any order you want. I'll just take the 2 again. I'll add it here, and then I'll just add maybe type first, just to show you. And this is not the same sequence as the sequence of your, oh, it's an enter, not a, right? It's not in the same sequence as your fields. So to change the sequence of columns, all you do is just name them in the sequence you want. That's all you need. And of course, you can add filtering. I mean, nothing stops you from adding filtering. So let's only choose rings. Where donut type. Are we all okay? Running for everybody? I had to ask, right? And then you said it's not running. So you can filter and you can do forms together, like columns together. So where was which one? Select this from where donut name to okay. So what it is saying is, look at it. It says unknown column donut names. So we misspelled donut name. Donut. It's very helpful. Look at the error and it's almost. Okay, now let's do this. Unknown column donut name again. Somewhere. Where you have to name like apple with a percentage. Anything? Donut, anything? Yeah. Okay, right. Oh, okay, you were. Okay. So copy and paste has cost you 20 selects at least. Spelling errors. When an error comes up, SQL errors are easy to read. And you have to learn to read errors, whether it is SQL or Java. Bring your mouse, either just bring your mouse to the error. It will show you the whole thing and it will very clearly say, cannot recognize this name. All it is saying is, I can't find it. So you've misspelled it. It looks like donut is such a, like a word. You can make H's mistakes and N's mistake and so on. Be careful. That's all it is saying. Right? And you learn how to do it. Okay, so does that make sense? Haven't run it. So you can change the order and you can, of course, filter it also. There it is. So both can be done together. Your conditions can be compound. Not like any combinations can be done. There's no stopping it. Right? There is no stopping it. Now, if for whatever reason you don't want to see these names, donut type, donut names, and donut cost, I mean, they're not bad names at all. We always say we will give good descriptive names to our data, to our columns. But if you want to change them for display purposes only, it's not changing it in the table. That's different. You do that with alter. So you're going to change display names. Just the displaying. Then you can do this. How do you change them? All you do is you give the name, the new name with it. You can use the word as if you want. You can do it without the word as. And then put the new name here. It's a good habit to put it in quotes, though if it is a single word, just letters, nothing else. One single word you can do without quotes. but it's just good to just put it in quotes, then you don't have to worry. But I could have put name without quotes. One word can go without quotes. If it is a combination like donut name or donut type, oops, this was the type. So you could do, so if it was more than one words or it has any special character in it, then it has to go in quotes. If it is only one word, I don't want to confuse you, but you should see, just so that you're ready for everything. If it does not, it's only, oops, it only has one word. That's one word, no special character. Then you can put it without quotes. So you're giving an alias name to it. Okay, that's what you're doing. So you can do this, but a good habit is just putting it in quotes. Then you're always like, okay, yes. As I'll show you. Notice how here it is saying donut type, donut name, and donut cost, the names of the fields from the table. I'm changing the names as it appears on my result to give them better names, like more normal English names without underscores, without Java conventions. If you are using Java convention, that's how you will see it. Suppose I want to show this to a user or something, then I would like to give them normal names, grammatically correct. So I went donut type. My names weren't bad, but I can make them better. And name and donut cost, you can go like this. You don't have to use the word as for your information. You can say price in dollars. Nowhere in your numeric values does it say these are dollars. You see what I mean? Yes, Rick?
I'm just waiting for you to scroll back. So the whole thing can be-
The three fields? Okay, maybe here also we can find something like a word wrap that we did in Java, right? There is tools configuration and backup connections. No. Because this is not such a good IDE, like it's not an IDE as per se.
JetBrains makes something called data grid.
Data grid?
Yep.
For the selections also?
It's for SQL. It's an IDE for SQL.
Oh, you're talking about a new IDE. Okay. Yeah, I'll stick to I like this. I'll see if I can find a word wrap or something. There are preferences. Maybe under edit, I'll be able to do a word wrap. Yes. Okay.
This last button up here above.
Oh, the normal word wrap.
The one to the right of that. Right. That one.
Toggle wrapping of long lines. And what's this? Toggle displays of invisible characters. Okay. Thank you. It will make it untidy, but it's easy for you guys to read. Yeah, thank you. There, that way you can see, yes. Both are allowed. Both are allowed. Some people don't want to even type in as. Thank you, Thomas. Okay, now, so as I type, it could be not very neat, but that's okay. I mean, you have to give one for the way of the other. So we are looking for, now see the difference. Right, now see the difference. The last one here, Amanda, if you want to wrap here, here's the button. Toggle wrapping of long lines. Okay, so what we were doing, okay, these new names now. There it is. See, this is what I was trying. Notice the names of the columns now. I mean, of course, you can show it in one line. I mean, you can make it bigger, but that's okay. It wasn't that bad. But anyway, here, that's the difference. So it's a more friendly, human readable column title. These column titles are only for display purposes. They are not changing the column names in the table. This is not how you do it. You can change column names in tables after you've created the table. Nobody wants to recreate the whole table again. It takes time. There is an alter statement to do it. We will, in a couple of weeks, we'll come to it. Okay, after I finish my selects. Are you okay with this? So any columns in any order, any names you want. Filtering of records, whatever you like. Now, let me go a little ahead. If you want to order your output, order the output means order it alphabetically, right? Or whatever you like, but order them, right? So what you can do is, let's try something simple now. I mean, these are all simple, but I'm just trying to, I'll just go simple. So I'm going to select all records from my table. You can put a condition if you like, but we'll need more than one. What had more answers? Where name was like apple, but apple fritter comes before apple. Apple should come before apple. Okay, so we'll see a different order. I'm trying to see where I have more than one. Oh, the cost was also, yep. Okay, let's take this one then. I think I had enough of $2. I think I had a few of $2 where donut cost is 2, and I'll say order by, and now you can order it by whatever you like. So let's order it by donut name, right? Let's order it by donut name. So they'll come in the order. So go donut name or whatever you like. The name seems the most obvious one to me. So all 2s will appear, and you can see the difference if you like. Let's try this one first without the ordering. And maybe it's already ordered. I don't know. I can't remember. So let's see. Do we have an answer? Do we have more than 1 2s? Oh, okay. So we do have 2, and it's already in order. Okay, doesn't matter. I can show you something else. I can show you descending or ascending. Now try this one. We'll have the same result. Oh, it was already in order. Okay, it was already in order, but you can do this.
You can just sort the one.
Yeah, I should. I'm kind of tired of now seeing so many results, right? But the option is you can, default is ascending. Sorry, default is, what did we see? A is apple. Ascending. Which is ASC for your information, right? You can change it to descending by going, just add the word descending after it. You can give the full word, you can give 4 letters. So default is ascending. ASC, you could say ASC, but it's the default. So you can add ASC if you want. But the default is ascending. To change it to descending, you should say descending with it, or the whole word descending. Okay. So we are changing it. So that's not the default. You can use the full word if you like, or you can use the first 4 letters. And it always works, the first 4 letters. Okay, let's try that now. Oh, okay. Oh, again, forgot, only should run that one. There it is. Notice how chocolate has gone up and apple has come down. That's descending. Okay. Now, okay, so what else? Select from, where, order by. There is more, right? There is more, but I'm looking only on the simple ones. Oh, let me show you this. If you're only interested, we could do this. If you're only interested in displaying the first 3 records or 2 records, just right. So I'm going to do the same thing, and you can combine all these together. Okay. I mean, all combinations are possible. You can remove the where, you can remove the order by, everything together, whatever optional. It's all available. They have different functionality. You understand? Like if you don't want the where, you're not taking off filtering. If you want no ordering, you can remove the order by. If you want to show all the records in order by, you can do order by. So they're all possible. If I only want to show the first 2 records in descending order or ascending order, whatever you like, I'll put the word ascending so that you know that it's not needed though. I'll just kind of make a note. And now I can say limit. MySQL. Yeah, I think we're okay. Right? The limit could be a little different in different relational databases. There is a little difference, but I'll show you MySQL. So if I say limit, how many do I want? 2. Right? It will show you the first 2 records. Okay, try it. So I've added limit, and the order is important, like the sequence. You have select, from, where, order by, limit. Okay. The limit and order by could be interchangeable. The first 3 are not. The last answer should be only 2 records. And it has also ordered by. No, something is wrong. That's not the last answer. Oh, did I say? Oh, donut cost is 2. Okay. Because I have it. I thought that's not the first 2 records of my table, but I have a condition where I say the cost is equal to 2. If you remove the condition, you will see the first 2 records, right? So now my answer was only 2 records, but so we'll remove this just to show you what else. Like, that's all I can do. I can comment this out for a minute. So it will show you the apple and the apple fritter. Okay, let's try that. So there is no filtering here. Though again, as I said, you can filter whatever you like. There it is, apple and apple fritter. And they've changed their sequence because I said ascending. Okay. Now you may not always require the first 2 records. Maybe you want to see record number 4 and 5, right? I have 7, so I'm okay. So let's show records 4 and 5. I'll go here again. Again, you don't have to have order. You can remove it if you like. Here, I mean, nothing, it's just. Okay, in here, what you do is you have to give 2 parameters. Actually, 2 is what is needed. But if I don't give the second parameter, it automatically starts with offset 0. Okay. Now this one says, so the default offset is 0. To write the 2 in my SQL, we want to start with 0. So 3 and how many? Okay, so let me write this note for you. So this is offset. Where do you want to start? The record number, right? And how many? And remember, the first record is at offset 0. Therefore, I've said 3. The first record is at offset 0. So here, if you like, it's basically limit. Again, you can put offset is 0. So not needed. Oops. It's not needed. So you don't need it. You could have said limit 0 to. So since the offset is 0, this will mean that 3 means the offset is 4. So you're starting with the 4th record. So I want to show records number 4 and 5. How many records do you want to show? 2. So that's how many. And the offset says, where do you want to start? So 0 means from the first record. So 3 and 2. So we'll have to double check our answers. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, we will. 4 and 5. Records number 4 and 5. I keep forgetting. I'm just in the habit of pressing that button. That's it. So caramel and jelly. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Caramel and jelly. So that's limit. And combinations of anything with anything is allowed. You can use whatever you like. Okay? As long as you write the syntax correctly. What else can I tell you in simple selects? Group by and having are complex. We'll have to wait for them. I think we are done. We're done for selects for today, if I'm not mistaken. Just give me 1 minute. Let me double check. We've done ands and ors and nots and the normal nots, and looks like I've covered everything from the select statements, right? That takes care of what I wanted to do today. So you should be ready for your next assignment next week. I'll see how to do it, whether to do it in class or take it home, but I'll let you know, but whatever it is, right? So the next assignment will be based on select statements. That's what is important to know. Where we'll think about it. I'll think about it. Okay, so that I'll put on Blackboard, and the lecture, of course, is on, the recording is on YouTube. Okay, that's for today. Now, if you would need any more help or any special help, I can do that.